Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is our chart lesson for Monday, July the 9th. And real quickly before we get started, I'll just say this real quick. I'm still struggling a little bit with my cold that I brought back. It's turned into more than a cold. I kind of had a relapse over the weekend, and so I've been sick all weekend. I didn't feel real good this morning, so I took a couple of trades, and that was really about all I did this morning. And so just wanted to kind of let you know I didn't do a lot of trading today, but I did go to the doctor later this during the midday, and they gave me some medication. So hopefully I'm on the road. I'm already feeling better, so hopefully I'm on the road to recovery. I started not to do a chart lesson today, but since we had the holiday weekend last week, and this is a really tough trading day today, I thought I would show you what I was seeing so that you could kind of get an idea of where you went right or maybe went wrong today. But as you can see, we spent most of the day in this 4 to 5 point trading range right here. That's where 90% of your price action is today. There was a nice move out of the gate this morning. It wasn't the easiest one to see, but we'll talk about that. And other than that, there just really wasn't a whole lot going on. We had this trade right here, which you could have taken, but it was really late in the day to take that one. So I don't recommend even that one, but I'll talk about it because it is a good trade. It does meet our criteria for the most part. And there are two little two-legged pullbacks to the EMA here that you could have taken, and both of them would have worked. But I didn't mark them either because this is just a big trading range, so you had to get in really close to the top or really close to the bottom to take it. And so it was better to wait for here to go long. But anyway, let's talk about the first trade here and why this was a good setup. You had a kind of a double triple top. These were your last of your overnight highs from or early, I'd call these more early morning. Actually, this one was around 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock my time, Central Standard Time. So you had this double top and it failed and prices broke higher, but all this is a failed break out of all this trading right here. And you notice there's a second entry. You didn't want to take this first entry. That's a big doji. And this is kind of an inside bar, and it's another doji. But when this second one set up here, this is a second entry short. And if you went to a smaller chart, which I'm not, let me clarify that real quick. Don't trade looking at multiple charts. You need to learn to be able to see this on your main chart. But if you went to a second chart, you would clearly see a little pullback here in a second entry short, which there's your first entry short, and then the lows here are higher, so there's your second entry short. And the odds were that we were going to come down here and test these lows again, but you see this thing just rocketed on lower. This is just a long trap right after the open. You'll see this right at the open. You'll see a big burst in one direction, and then it'll quickly reverse. So watch your price action and remember your price action. Don't pay attention to the burst. Look at your price action because this is a very common setup. And if you didn't see this, then you need to work on it. You'll start to see it, but this was not easy to see. I'll be the first one to tell you that. It takes a lot of experience to know how they trap everybody at the open. And I probably wouldn't have taken this without a second entry there, but that was a nice, easy trade. Any runners would have been good, and that was your move of the day because that's a nice 5 or 6 point move depending on how much of it you got. And you definitely should have exited off this double bottom when prices reverse back up. And you can see what we would have had at the time was kind of prices right across there, so we got a double bottom. So this is just a failed break lower, and again a second entry long. Here's your new low. Anytime you get a new low or a new high, you can count the count starts over. And so there's your first entry long because all we're looking for is legs, and so there's your second entry long right above that. And that's a nice reversal bar off a double bottom, off a failed break lower below a broader double bottom. So hopefully you see that now if you didn't see it earlier. And so there's a nice long there, and that was another good move. So if you caught those two trades only, because your runners would have been safe here too. So if you caught those two trades only, you could have had a pretty good day for today, and you could have forgotten all this other junk out here that wasn't really much to look at. And this is just a repeat pattern almost of this over here, because now you got a double bottom that would have been, or double top, I'm sorry, that would have been right here. And that's a pretty strong move without any pullback. Notice the overlap. Notice how far away we are from the EMA. Remember, we always know prices are likely to come back and test the breakout area. And so that was an easy scalp back here to that. And Doubt you had any runners on that one, but if if you played it a little more, and I didn't hang on to any. I exited my runners here in this overlap because I figured I was going to get stopped out because I really thought prices were going to come back up here and test this possible trend line, because all I did was copy that trend line. Let me show you how also I knew about this double bottom reversal down here. That's just a copy of that trend line, and I moved it down to the next swing low, which was right there. And notice how that turned out to be the lower end of the trend channel. Even if you'd have had it up here, you still would have been in the same. You still would have got the same identical thing. There's your. That's actually probably more what it is right there, because there's your double bottom right off of that line. It's probably off of that close right there. Yeah, and you see how those turns touch perfectly. So that's really even. That's better than where I had it. But normally I'll drop it down to the last swing, which is going to be down in here. And that would have alerted you of that, but I really think that's it right there. I think I was close right there, but I believe that's where it probably should have been, and that's catching the low end of these closes, and that's exactly where. Notice how even though we had a low here, we came on down until we actually tested that support area twice, and then it rallied up out of there. So that's a clue, and then we tested it again right here and rallied up out of there again. And but anyway, this pattern here is almost a repeat pattern of that. You got a double top, you broke above it after a nice bounce off a low, and look at that, it looks very similar to what we had over here. And then this nice reversal bar when we broke higher, and again you had these overlapping bars, and we broke higher and then turned down and closed on the low. There was plenty of room to scalp out before getting back to that EM. That's a nice little setup. There were actually some setups in here, but there's just too many overlapping bars, and then by the time we get down here, you're too close to these lows again. But if you had these trend channels, you might have been thinking, hey, we're probably going to come all the way down here. And that's exactly where we went to. So that was just another clue that, hey, we may drop lower, and you could have even had your line right there. But I usually use the closes, and you had closes there, and a lot of touches across there. So that's where I was looking. So even if you didn't have this down here, you still got your failed break lower. So there's a couple of different reasons to take that long. And again, you got your overlap here, and you ticked lower, and then you got plenty of room back to the EMA. So a nice little easy scalp. Doubt you got any runners out of that one either. You would have had some runners over here, but I didn't like this setup because of all this overlap, and we had a kind of a triple top across here. So actually you would have only had a double top at the time you took this long right here, but I just didn't like this. Even though this held again, I wasn't convinced we were going much higher than back here. I was really afraid that we might make a double top here and turn back down and test this again, but no, we came all the way up here. But this was a good setup because you got one leg, a correction, and a second leg, and then you've got your, remember what I've told you before on a trading range day, you can fade every new high and every new low. And by this time it was really clear. It wasn't so clear here that this might be a trading range day, because I really thought it was more of a trend channel day, which it could be both, but it's more like a trading range day, because we spent most of the day, as you see, it's after lunch before this broke higher. So, but anyway, it's a new high because we broke above this high. It's a failed break above this. Look how far away we are from the EMA. You got a couple of overlapping bars. That's a great place to go short, and you actually could have ridden this one. You probably wouldn't have got any runners on this one either, depending on how you played it. So really, your only two really good trades today were this one and this one. That's the only one where your runners, unless you were willing to take on a little more risk, you wouldn't have had any runners survive on a break-even stop on the rest of these. And then again, I didn't like this long right here, simply because by the time you got long, you're getting long so close to that EMA, even though it did shoot on through there. But it was better to wait on a second entry long, and so that happened right here. And then you had this is actually a two-legged pullback and then reverse. So going long right there, and there's enough room. You figure we're probably going to test this high. You might get resistance here, but you see, even though we broke through there. It would have been a real quick and easy scalp. Again, no runners on that. So that's really about all there was today. So hopefully you see the multiple reasons to enter some of these. This one you had the new high on a range type day, you had a new low on a range type day, but both times you were coming off a support, a key support or resistance area, which is this channel that was kind of working down through here. And then you also had a failed break here, and so there were several reasons to go short there, and there were several reasons to go long. The same thing from the other side. Oops, didn't mean to do that, sorry. And the same thing here, you tested that line twice, and so that's a nice place to get long, and it's a failed break lower below that double bottom across there. So that's the type things you need to be looking for, and I'll be the first one to tell you this was a tough day if you're not really good at reading the price action. So if you struggle today, don't take it personally, but this is the type of things that you have to learn. And that's one thing I want to say, and then I'm going to wrap it up, is that what the ES is famous for is whatever, it'll kind of get you in a lull. It'll start having range days every day, and then out of the blue it will trend uncannily strong. And then it'll may trend for several days, and then out of the blue it'll suddenly start ranging or suddenly have a huge reversal and trend in the opposite direction. But they love to lull you to sleep, and just when you think you got it figured out, it changes somewhat. So don't get lulled to sleep by these trading range days. The longer they pile up, when we do have a move, it's probably going to be that much bigger. And the longer it trends, eventually you're going to have a real tight trading day, and you might even get one of those trading range days where the whole day's in a 2 or 3 point range, which happens occasionally. We hadn't had many of those lately. As you can kind of see, we had this good trend last week, and it's really unusual that we didn't feel that that gap right there from the overnight. They tried, but it just couldn't do it. Although we got really close in the late afternoon, my guess is we'll probably end up filling that during the overnight or by tomorrow. But you know, don't trade on that, but know and understand that's a strong possibility of filling that gap, because that's just the tendency of the market, and the ES doesn't have many gaps that don't get filled very quickly. So but anyway, this is about 12 minutes. Not much more we can talk about today. It just was not a very I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I actually like these kind of days because they're very, very predictable. But if you're not good at spotting and finding these strong support and resistance, that's what you need to work on, or spotting your trend lines, because if you're not, then they're very hard days, because just when you think it's going one way, and I guarantee you there's an umpteen number of traders that got long right here, they got long right here, they got short right here, they got long right here, and they probably got short right here. And you know, I know that, I've been there. I know that's the common sense. It tells you, hey, we're going higher, but that's why you can't use common sense to trade the ES or most any market, because common sense just does not work. The more common sense you got, the harder it is to get past that in some cases. And that may sound odd to you, but really a lot of times some of the people that pick up trading the easiest, they don't have a lot of common sense, and they're not following their common sense, and they just learn to follow the price action that much quicker, because common sense tells you, hey, we're breaking higher. And it's not only common sense. There are so many traders, gurus, trading gurus, and that's what they teach you, to trade breakouts. And you can see right here, if you traded breakouts today, you got it handed to you. I mean, if you went long here, look what happened. If you went long here, look what happened. If you went short down here on this breakout, look what happened. If you went long up here, look what happened. And if you went, you know, anywhere, if you went long right here, look what happened. Before the close, you were almost back down here again. So you can't trade breakouts in this. Don't try it. Every now and then one will break out and go like crazy, but look at this trap right here. I guarantee you, you know, no telling how many people got long there Friday, and then the market opened and trended down all day. They were lucky that it's coming back to fill that gap if they held on. But do you want to risk holding on for, you know, 9 or 10 points to see if it's going to come back? I don't, but I know there's people that do, and you know, and sometimes it'll probably work just enough to keep them trying to do it, but in the long run it'll cost them a lot of money one day, because one day it won't come back. So keep all that in mind. Didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but those are just ideas and thoughts that came to my mind that are probably important to discuss. So hope you had a good trading day today. If you didn't, come back tomorrow and we'll see if we can't get some more movement tomorrow, maybe a little better day. And excuse me, we'll do it again tomorrow. But this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.